Screen.
We are recording, Jake.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I just gotta get into presenting mode. Okay. So I found an article or a couple things recently on the potato chip, like who invented it and things. And so I wanted to do a PowerPoint about that. It was kind of interesting, just due to the fact that no one really knew.
No one knew.
So the mysterious potato chip. Okay. But why the potato chip and why mysterious? When you go to a store, you'd see the potato chips. Or do you? In reality, are you sure you don't just see the bag? Now you may be thinking, why does that matter? When I open up the bag, I see them, so who cares about what I see in the store? Well, here's the answer. It doesn't. I never said potato chips were mysterious because I put them in a bag. I was just stating the facts. That has nothing to do with potato chip being mysterious. So why are they mysterious? Okay, you can trust me this time. I'm not going to be annoying. Well, you opened up the bag. You saw the potato chip. But did you see the potato chip history? Bum, bum, bum. Potato chip facts. I've said this before, but sorry for adding too much suspense in the last slide. So you want to know about potato chip history, huh? Well, first learn some things about them in general. Potato chips were rated second as America's most popular snack after Oreo cookies, who are, as always, just trying to steal the show. Potato chips, they're the most popular in France and the US. The biggest potato chip bag ever was 18 feet tall, and then I'm assuming it's pretty wide. I couldn't find how many potato chips they fit in it anywhere. So.
Oh, we can calculate that later.
Yeah. In the UK, you can buy self-salt potato chips, where instead of having them nicely pre-salt them for you, they decide to be jerks and make you do it yourself, hence the name. Wikipedia decided to stick a section in their potato chip article called Health Concerns. Grill enjoys eating full-size bags of potato chip for lunch, and the potato chip has a kind of mysterious history. You think I would lie to you in the title, do ya?
Hold it. Who is Grill?
You.
Me?
What your name tag says. So.
Now you know that was some funky autocorrect, don't you?
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, the name kind of stuck. That's all right. Okay. Do I say this line? Get to the point, you stupid author, or do you say that?
Sure. Yeah, let's make it interactive PowerPoint.
Yeah. Okay. Get to the point.
Stupid author. Okay, now that you know some interesting facts about potato chips and you would be torturing yourself not to have some background knowledge to them to begin with, it's probably time we get to potato chip history. Or should I say potato chip lies?
Oh.
Okay. Potato chip myth number 1. The first and most common potato chip myth goes like this. Some guy, if you want specifics on this some guy, look up George Crumb, was trying to serve some other guy. For specifics on some guy, look up Cornelius Vanderbilt. French fries. But then the guy kept sending them back because they weren't crispy enough. Supposedly, in the end, Crumb got angry and sliced the French fries as thin as he possibly could, and hence invented the potato chips. Yeah.
Is Crumb the guy's real name? That's pretty interesting.
George Crumb. potato chip chef. Yeah, so I guess he supposedly, well, yeah, I think most of the stuff says he invented potato chips. Wikipedia just like brushes over the whole thing. They don't even mention who invented it. They take the time to mention health concerns, but they don't mention an ice cream. I think they needed something to replace the who invented them, so shows health concerns. But why is it a myth? Here's why. Although it's undoubtedly a good story, it, for a number of reasons, is probably not true. George Crumb, who was a famous chef, never even served potato chips in his restaurant, and on top of that, he himself had never even claimed to have invented them. And if he was to have invented potato chips, he certainly wasn't the kind of person not to lay claim to it. So I was reading up on him a bit. Supposedly he was a pretty like braggy guy. He would not have went and let potato chips go unmentioned. Luckily though, there's another story that might be true, and hopefully it's not as holy as the last one. Holy potato chips. Potato chip myth number 2. The second potato chip story goes about the same as the first one, but instead of George Crumb as the chef, there's someone named Catherine Wicks, who is George Crumb's sister and who worked at the same restaurant. But as you can probably infer, there are some holes in this story too. The restaurant had never even served potato chips. If either of these chefs really did invent the potato chip, then why didn't they actually serve it? Also, same as Crumb, she never actually laid claim to the potato chip. It was just in her obituary, so the occasional person mentioned it. There is luckily one more story involving Wicks with the potato chip, though, and although it's not really any more reality-based than the last, it's a good example of the mysteriousness of the potato chip invention. And also, it's a good story. And the story goes like this. Wicks is peeling potatoes to mash while getting fat boiling for a different dish. She then mistakenly drops one of the peelings into the fat and grabs it out, and the potato chip was born. And then, supposedly, that was like her eureka moment. Although she never actually said that she invented them. So, so much for that. Potato chip myth number 4. The fourth potato chip myth to go over is possibly the least likely of all, but if anything will give you a sense of how gullible potato chip chefs think everyone is. The first person to lay claim on the potato chips myth was Hiram Thomas, who laid claim to coming up with the brilliant idea of potato chips, which was not repetitive at all. As well as not being as good of a story, potato chips had been around for almost a decade before that anyway, making it not quite possible for him to have invented them. Like I invented T-Mobile, or I started the company.
Yeah.
Potato chip not myth number 5. The last potato chip story.
Not myth number 5. All right, that's interesting. Sorry for interrupting. Keep going.
The last potato chip story is what most historians think is the most likely, though not proven true. It's fairly vague, but goes something like this. A chef named Eliza, her last name is still unknown, supposedly invented the potato chip in a lakeside restaurant that was said to have made the best crispy fried potatoes around, and that people would fill their pockets with them before going home, which sounds awfully like potato chips. Because if I were a person eating at a restaurant, then I would fill my pockets with them before going home, because that's a completely normal thing to do.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. Okay. See why mysterious? See, don't you? Okay, fine. Well, if you don't, then here's some more fun facts. potato chip production was banned during World War II because it was a non-essential food. In France, potato chips are served with meals, not as snacks, which is good when you're having meals and bad when you're having snacks. Until Lay's and Fritos, potato chips were served as a luxury food for millionaires, not Grandpa Will's. You're on the last slide of a PowerPoint on potato chips. So see ya.
Yay.
That was it. Yeah. Anyway, so questions or whatever.
Yeah. Yes. I've got a question for you. What are you doing with the keyboard shortcuts? Why are potato chips so good? Yet potatoes really, a raw potato is disgusting. Yet potato chips are wonderful.
Oil.
Yeah.
I think that's the answer. It always is kind of a mystery, though, how cooked potatoes are like the best thing ever, and
Yeah.
raw potatoes are just like disgusting.
They are. They're awful. We'll never know the answer, Jake. It's a subjective. It's
maybe there's like some chemical that gets like cooked off or something when you cook them. Because occasionally you can like in a potato you can taste the like weird like there's like the taste of raw potatoes. It's kind of distinct. And sometimes you can taste that in the cooked potatoes.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the same thing that makes potatoes green sometimes.
Makes them green? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Although I once got served a green French fry. Although I don't know if that is. Well, I mean, I would assume a green potato would stay green after it gets cooked.
Well, there's a lot of potatoes are very plentiful in Ireland. Maybe the Irish green and all the food coloring and dyes that they use in Ireland incorporated itself into the potatoes. Did you ever think of that?
Yeah, that's a good theory.
Well,
as long as, yeah, that's a great theory as long as you don't take into account that food coloring is like banned in the EU, or not edible. But yeah. Yeah, not for sure. I mean, they probably dyed. Well, maybe it's just in Chicago that they dye the river green.
Yeah, that's where your mother comes from. Is that why you're mentioning Chicago? Because people in Chicago are a little weird at times, or they dye the river
at least
green.
on St. Patrick's Day. Yeah. Probably like dyeing everything green though. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jake. You have one final word about potatoes, and you can take back everything bad that you said about me. But so go ahead. One last word. Say.
Grilled potatoes are good.
All right. The question for next time is, some people say that the eye or the eyes of a potato are toxic. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Oh, so I wonder why potatoes aren't toxic if the eyes are. What is it about that? I don't know. That's our next research project.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the
They
recording now, Jake.
probably have like toxic souls.
Toxic souls.
Yeah,
I don't know.
they like stepped in something gross.
Hmm. All right, say goodbye. We're gonna stop the recording now.
Alright, cool. Bye.
Bye, folks.